Can you see me, Mike? Can you see Mom?
Yeah, yeah, I can see her now. Is she
Okay.
enjoying the show? Yeah.
Your audio's coming through unclear. Say that again.
Yeah. Is she enjoying the pictures?
Oh yeah. I've been asking her about names and she's teaching me who everybody is.
All right, that's great. I just wanted to check in. So thanks again for your help. I'm gonna mingle around.
Okay. So just keep it going and the ceremony will be it hasn't started yet, right?
Yeah, 11 o'clock. It's supposed to start at 11. I've always been predicting it's going to be late, but the
Gotcha.
host she says it's going to start at 11. So it was pretty
Okay.
strict. So we'll see.
Hi, my boys.
Gotcha. Thanks, man.
Look, mom looks sad.
She. That Mal?
Yeah.
Oh, he's young.
No, it's not according to I like it. Oh, here we go.
Camera pointing
Okay.
to the TV.
Hmm.
Where's the camera pointing to the TV?
So there's um one there coming from the laptop, and then there's one there from the other laptop.
It's kind of say,
10:38. There's no way we're starting.
I'm gonna be here.
People will stroll in at 11. Probably start at 11:30. That camera doesn't look as. Maybe I could clean it.
Okay. I never.
There you go. Heavy one.
That's all right. What? Well.
Zoom is on and people are already here. Your daughter. Hey, Doug, how are you?
Can I sit here?
Yeah. Got to be under host tools. Are you sure you are in the right place? Hold on, I can't talk right now. I'm looking. People can't get in here for some reason, and I don't know why. Because there's no waiting room. I got in just fine. She's doing the food there. Yeah, yeah, not the one. She's second from the left.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Whoever just said that, your audio is working.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I heard Mike say that he's having trouble, or people are having trouble getting into the meeting, and I just wanted to let you know that I was having trouble, but if you download the Zoom app and just go through the app and put in the meeting ID and passcode, it'll come right up.
Right, right. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a lot of people. Are you using the Zoom app? I think he's pumped.
I have the meeting ID and passcode if you need it. I'm sure you don't, but just in case.
Party 2 years. Tracy went? I know where. People are stuck in a.
There you are. Oh. They can hear you. Just let it go. Don't worry about it.
All right, for the people that have joined, this is Mike, Christine's sister. There's a slideshow going on the main screen, and then if you look at two of the camera participants, you'll see one as a microphone pointing at the microphone, and then one pointing at the entire room. If you're on a phone, you can scroll to the left, and then back to go from the main screen over to the participants.
Good for her.
It's bubbly.
Wild and they were telling the girl that, oh, you're gonna sell like Right.
I don't think I'm gonna play right now. I'm pretty good at my job. You guys just need to step up your game.
Like Haley is going.
You're good as me.
What are you talking? I'm
I'm gonna lie with you.
Okay, but if you're
I know. Okay. Oh,
We want really flowers.
oh my God, I gotta make some more orders. Get my laundry powder. Okay, I'm just gonna make orders of everything. We're running low on stuff. All right, guys, I just ordered some more stuff and wait, is that our fridge?
Yes, and I wanted to do something.
Hurry, put it down. The milk is going bad as we speak.
Stop yelling at me. I'm doing my best.
Yes, come on. We're looking at you. What is that place number? This is the worst spot ever. You know what? I'm going in for it. People can quickly grab their beverages as they enter the store.
It's terribly good. People wait on this side, not this side.
It's fine, we can put it over here, we can put it over here. People away from this side, we actually. Actually, yeah, they do. Look, they put all their items right here. Just not the thing. All right, here, we gotta put the milk in. Come on. We can knock that milk on.
But all in looks pretty
No, not to the people in the potty.
So what are you doing?
I'm watching a funeral. As it starts. I don't understand what's going on. You don't smell that nasty.
Just a reminder to make sure that your mics are muted.
That's grandma. Oh, stop. Make sure my mic's muted.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wanted them to be able to talk to each other. That's why I needed this room. They didn't hear all of it. Hey everybody, this is Mike again. Go ahead and mute out unless you're going to be talking to somebody else in the call until we start. We're going to be starting in about 5 minutes. We're waiting on just a couple more people. And just stay muted, unless you need to talk to somebody in the group for right now. Thank you. Yeah, I saw her and she looked at the computer and she doesn't understand either. So your sister and daughter did get in finally. I don't know what they were doing wrong. I resent them the link and they did get in. So I think we're fine. I'm gonna go ahead and stop. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, it's hot. I'm gonna stop there. I'm good. I'll do it. Yeah. You're gonna go there? Grab a donut off.
I was still next to you.
All right.
You wanted to sit on the couch, didn't you? But then you could have shaved for this. I shaved. They got older and made consider. It's good.
Good.
Okay, my wife.
What's that?
Hey.
There's not near as many people in the Zoom. I just
I'm ready
when you are. Everything's good. Everything's good with
you
starting. Okay. Yeah.
It's doing
well.
I did the best.
If everyone would just like to find your seats, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, welcome to everybody and thank you for coming today to celebrate Mom's Life. One thing I did draw special attention to is we have a reflection, family and friends portion of the service. So if there is anything you would like to say, special memories, stories from Interactive Mom, Christine, then that would be a good time to be able to come up and share. And other than that, there are programs on the tables that are holding our order of services. And so the first thing we're going to do is start off with a small speech by me, which I'm going to roll into now. So it occurs to me that there's a lot of variability in this room. The people represented here today knew Christine from different times, locations, roles than I ever did. I'm very excited to hear all about that during the reflections portion. My Christine went by the name Mom, and since I have the special privilege of being one of two people who knew her as this year, I would like to let you all know about her. Firstly, she was an amazing cook. I hear stories all the time about how kids grew up in their house and had tasteless meat and horrible vegetables. That was never what happened. The meat was always amazing and the vegetables had a very distinct taste. That was char, because it was my dad's preference, but she always tried to revive it with her herbs de Provence. I fondly remember her endless battles to make salt rising bread. There was maybe one successful attempt. Otherwise, John and I were eating bread that was so dense, butter would not melt into it. She also loved making soup and casseroles. These were both foods that John and I would not consume, but we now realize that was a flaw in us and not her cooking. As I outgrow my childish pickiness, my appreciation of Mom's cooking increases. As an adult, I'm blown away by her chicken meatballs and mushroom turmeric sauce and her caramelized onion crostinis. She was never afraid to try new foods or recipes, either well known to the general population or a creation of her own. Secondly, I have never known a more crafty person. This was most present through her quilting, which, as you might all notice, we are surrounded by all of her quilts. So she actually made all of these. She was also skilled with drawing, painting, and watercolor. She stenciled and painted our childhood toy boxes, which we have to this day. Once we, and by we, I mean 98% Mom, built an entire Cape Hatteras lighthouse out of paper. Much like her cooking, she was not afraid to try a new job. It is no wonder her food inventions were so good with this level of creativity. Thirdly, she loved animals to no end. Cats and dogs were present her whole life. She practically fostered our neighborhood basset hound, who would come over all the time just to hang out with her. She picked up more than one dog for a sleepover at the house until an owner could be found. One time, even a horse found its way into our neighborhood, and she, of course, was out the door with a jump rope and a carrot shortly after the discovery. Most recently, and most outrageously, she rescued a cat. But this was no ordinary cat. It was shortly after the rescue that Mom deduced this cat had kittens. So she, of course, released her back into the neighborhood, tracked her to her kittens, and subsequently rescued 6 more cats. In addition to her newfound love, Mavis, the cross-eyed dwarf Siamese tabby. The conclusion to this adventure was now our family unit has collectively 5 more cats, 3 of them that were owned by her. The last item I would like to touch on is how wonderful a parent she was. I can in no way encompass the entirety of that statement in this tribute, but I can tell you that she was loving, resourceful, present for every single moment. She was the person I reached out to for everything I couldn't figure out, most often used for finding items in the grocery store in a game we played called If I Was a Grocery Item, Where Would I Be? She always knew the answer. It was very uncanny. She always lauded my dad for how far he had quote unquote carried the football down the field with his parenting style, saying that he had done so much better than his parents before him. This praise was always applied to my dad, but I have no doubt in my mind that this would not be the case without her. And as I told her before, she did not leave much room for me to carry the football further. She carried me farther than I ever thought I could go. I have so much of who I am to her, and I will always love her to the moon and back. And now we're going to have our eulogy done by Tracy, my old friend.
You just took the first line of my speech. Sorry. I'm Tracy Livers. Christine was my best friend for over 30 years. when she passed away, I knew immediately that I wanted to get up and say something about her. But I wanted to capture some stories that weren't the same old stories that everybody had already heard a million times. I wanted to really define what the essence of Christine was. And that's kind of hard. I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to tell a story that was going to make her mad. I told it to a room full of people. However, she's not here. We're gonna have some fun. So Christine was not religious, but she was very spiritual. She would go with the flow. She was not a planner, but she did plan. She was opinionated, but she would always, she had the ability to say, yep, I was wrong and admit to it.
Is there a
She
way to
loved
enlarge
art.
the
She
screen
expressed
or
that
not
with her
really?
whole soul, but she wouldn't say, I
It's
love
okay,
you.
never
She
mind.
expressed it under through acts of service.
I
And she
thought,
loved to laugh, even if it was at her own expense. So what does all that mean? She was religious, or not religious, but spiritual. She'd been raised in the Catholic Church. That's not where her God was, but she was deeply spiritual. She had a set of rosary beads from her youth that she refused to get rid of. And when both her dad and her husband passed, she went to those beads and she opened up the container and she was like, Tracy, it smelled so good. It was like this vanilla scent. It was amazing. And that gave her great comfort because she knew that they were in a better place. And then as another thing of her spiritual side, when her friend, our good friend from college, Doug, I passed away, shortly after he passed away, she was sitting alone in the downstairs living room in Ashley Woods. Kids were really little, everybody on the bed, and she just felt his presence there. And she just knew without a doubt that Doug was with her. And she had read just before that an article about sometimes souls getting trapped and they needed to be told that they could go on. So she said, Doug, are you here with me? And, you know, the answer was yes. And so then she said, it's okay, you can go on, I'm okay. And she said she immediately felt like this rush of energy passed through her. And she knew that God was going on to a better place then. And that gave her great comfort. The quilts that you see all around, that was another spiritual practice for her, because if she made a quilt directly for you, she thought about you the entire time that she was making that quilt. She was like, almost like praying over it, like to make sure that it's the best quilt. And when you wrapped it around you, you knew that you were going to be ensconced in love by Christine. So one time, I was like, Christine, I need a quilt. My niece Alex, we're doing this special thing for her. I need a quilt. And she goes, I don't have time to make a quilt. She goes, but I do have this quilt that I made, and I didn't know who it was for. Let me go look at that. She looks at it and she's like, I think this is Alex's quilt. She's like, yes, this is Alex's quilt. And she gave it to me and Alex absolutely adored it. It was perfect. So she would go with the flow. Whenever I would go up and visit her, I'd just be like, we have to do something. We can't just sit on the couch all weekend. So this led to many, many adventures. We had blind tequila tastings with her friends. We did massages, escape rooms, hikes, lots of hikes. I made her hike. And so I think one time she was just like, oh, I am so getting back at you for this hiking thing that you're making me doing. So when they lived on the mountain, they lived right in the middle. You could go up, you could go down. And the hike was always up and back or down and up. And I'm like, gotta go up first. So we're walking and I'm like, you're kidding me. This is ridiculous. I'm like, are we almost there? She's like, oh yeah, we're almost there. It's okay. So you round this corner and it's to taunt you. There's this big sign that says, on the good ship Lollipop. And you're like, oh. And then you look to the right and it's a hill that's like this. And I go, you gotta be shitting me. This hill. So not going on, whenever we did this hike, I'm like, how far are we from you? Gotta be shitting me though. And then I knew it was like, we're almost to the peak, so we can have the view. So she was not a planner, but she planned. When we went on like our Wine County, North Carolina weekends, we would plan everything. Like, okay, we're gonna hit this winery, you're packing this, I'm bringing this, we're getting here. We had the whole weekend planned out almost to the minute. But in her life, her big things of her life, she didn't have. She went with the flow. She was very spiritual and she knew that it would work out. She always prayed about it and it always would work out for her. The best example I have of that is late into spring semester, our junior year, we shared a class, didn't know each other. It was a large class, about 100 or so people. One day I go bebop and then I sit down next to Christine. Yeah, we're doing a little chit chat, don't know each other. And somehow it comes out that I need a roommate starting in the summer. She goes, need a roommate in the summer. My roommate's moving out. And I'm like, "Bitch." She goes, you want to move? I was like, yes. And we're like, yeah, we got this problem solved. And we both walked out of there going, what the hell have I got myself into? This could be really good or really, really bad. 30 years later, I think it was a very good conversation. So let's see. She was opinionated, but she would admit when she was wrong. So Christine's big opinion was she thought that cars embodied the person. Whatever car you were driving, that said a lot about who you were as a person. So she would judge people like, oh, I see them driving this, you know. I'm like, okay, Christine, that's great. Just keep in mind, when I met her, she drove this red, sporty piece of crap car. She loved that car, but it wouldn't start in the morning. It wouldn't start if it was raining. It wouldn't start if it was too cold. And I'm like, what does this say about Christine? Yeah, she never was a morning person. But she could admit when she was wrong. When David and her moved back to Asheville, they lived in Biltmore Forest. And Andy McDowell moved into the neighborhood. So Christine's out there doing her walks, and Andy McDowell's driving by. In the South, you hate people as they drive by in the neighborhood, and she never waved back. So we were like, that no waving bitch, we don't like her. So lo and behold, one day Christine's in line at the D&B, and we know how long it takes to stand in line at the D&B. And who's in front of her but that no waving bitch Andy McDowell? So she's like, But they started chit-chatting. You know, turned out Andy McDowell was actually a really nice person. We're allowed to like her movies and not call her the no waving bitch anymore. So she loved hard and she loved with her whole soul. I'm a hugger. She hated my hugs, but she finally gave in to them. And now at the end, she was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I've broken her kids and they hug me now too. It's awesome. But when we would visit, she would, like, we are allowed to, when we visit each other, we're allowed to have one thing that we could pick out for the weekend. And we were always like trying to up each other, going like, who can pick out the most pain in the ass thing that we're going to ask for? And the other person had to deliver it. And so we did. So one time she made me homemade chocolate cups. So the cups were homemade with a homemade mousse in them with some raspberries on top and chocolate shavings, because that's what I wanted for that trip. And she did it. And that was her act of service and love to me. She also, I was driving to move my daughter out of college. There's a bad accident. It was shut down. I was literally on 40 with the car stopped. I'm like, Christine, I need your help. 15 minutes later, she's out the door with her kids. She's like, come on, we're moving Haley out. Let's go. And so by the time I actually got to her house, they had done all the hard work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I got to have a glass of wine with Christine and hang out with them. And she loved to laugh. Even if it was at her own expense, she liked to laugh. Here's a few stories. You've probably heard some of these. In college, there's a place that everybody goes when bars close. It's called Time Out. You stand in line, you get a chicken, egg, and cheese biscuit. And basically what they did was they take a fried chicken breast, they take some tongs, they rip the chicken off of it, throw that piece of meat on the biscuit, and that's your chicken biscuit. Those bones, they throw into a bucket, and they still had some meat on them and stuff. You could buy a bucket of bones for a couple of bucks, right? We're broke college kids. We just had learned about this. So we're drunk. It's the first time ever. So we're in timeout and we're trying to be all classy. And we're like, excuse me, I hear you have a bucket of bones. And they're like, yeah, $5, here you go. And so for the next 40 minutes, they're me and her trying to beat off classic. Not on the chicken bones. It was awesome. She liked to have pretty toes, right? So we would go get pedicures, and she had some ugly feet. And like calloused and stuff, you know, so we get to the point and they pull out the cheese grater and they're, you know, doing the feet and the dead skin's flying everywhere. So she calls me up one day, she goes, Tracy, you're not gonna believe what happened. So what she goes, I went to go get a pedicure. And halfway through the cheese grating, the woman stops and she looks up at me, she goes, nasty. So, you're always nasty. So in closing, I have just a couple of, actually, sorry, one more story, sorry. And when I started thinking about the epitome of Christine, like I needed one story that epitomized Christine and all of that in one thing. And in college, broke college kids, we went to Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus one time. And we were having a great time. We were both broke, but we wanted to keep safe. And I was like, I have a credit card. And we went and bought t-shirts. So we kept those t-shirts and she kept that t-shirt until the day she died. And she was like, I have this t-shirt. I remember it. This is such a great night. You were so broke and you put it on your credit card. And I'm like, gee, thanks for reminding me of all these details. But that's what she would do. She would love you. She would hold on to you and remind you of all those details. So in closing, I have just a couple words to the family. Mike, I know that
Make me cry.
it's okay.
Don't make me cry.
Your relationship with her was strained at times. But just a few months ago, she told me how close she was to you. She said, I've never been this close to my brother before, and I absolutely love it. And I want you to know how much that your relationship with her meant to her. Catherine and John. She loved you with your whole heart, her whole heart. She loves you unconditionally. She would have done anything for you. And she was so proud of everything that you had accomplished and the people you were turning into. And she doesn't use the word proud very often. To her, you can't be proud of something if you didn't have a hand in making it. So for her to say how proud she was of you, tells me how much she was entwined with you and how much she loved you. The most importantly, even though she loved you unconditionally, she genuinely liked you as the people that you had become. And that's, as a mom, I can tell you, to actually like your adult kids is so, they're not assholes. So know that she loved you and she liked you. Nobody can ever fill her shoes, but I'm here. You've got a room full of people here that are here for you, a call or a text away 24/7, no matter what. And please take us up on that. So thank you for joining us today. Whether you're in person or online, I know that Christine would appreciate it. She always felt like people didn't remember her. But based on the outpouring of support that we've gotten, I've gotten, Catherine, John, Mike, everybody's gotten, she would love this. And she'd be like, oh, I did live a life worth living. And I did make an impact. And that would have meant a lot to her. So now I'd like to open up to anybody who would like to say a few words, whether in person or online. Thanks. Okay, come on.
So hi, everybody. I'm Deidre. I'm the sister-in-law to Christine. Just a beautiful person. I reflected on it this morning, 3 hours driving here, speaking of her life. And you see the quilts. I walked in the door, that's the first burst of tears. I see all of you. It's a burst of tears. It's a joy that I had her in my life. She quilted with such precision and measure, and that is how she quilted her life quilt. She had a presence. You could sit in a room with her and be surrounded by so many people and looking out at their conversations they were having, but yet she would just sit there with you and cousins and have conversations and walk away, and you felt good when you left from that moment and you cherished that moment. Those were the reflections this morning coming here. She's with my brother now, and that gives me great peace. To John Patrick. Grandma Stratton said it, she said it very clearly. We are your village now, even though I'm bumbling. We are your village. You'll never be alone. Live life to the fullest. They are so proud of you. And know that you're loved. The speeches. When I was 18 years old and started working at Daryl's. And those that know, Daryl's was a wonderful place to be. We had so much fun, and all 4 years of my college career consisted of Daryl's. And somewhere towards the end of it, Christine and I moved in together. And those that don't know, she had snakes. Snakes. And I petrified of rodents. So we had numerous conversations about those snakes and how to keep them out of my room. So from the time I was 18 until current day, it's been 30 years. And she was in my wedding. She made numerous quilts for me. In every single room of my house is a quilt. She just meant so much, and it would kill me because her favorite picture of us is this picture that I hate. And the night that picture was taken, we were leaving to go out. I don't know if it was to eat or drink or phone or what it was. And I was like, Christine, this picture's horrible. I look so bad. She's like, it's my favorite. And so even in our adult life, she had it completely fit me on this like bejeweled type frame. I was like, I just want you to have it. I love it so much. But she meant the world to me. And prior to, we lived in Asheville together when she had both of you. And I would spend almost every weekend at y'all's house. And I was single, and she wanted help with her children. And sometimes I would even bring my niece Anna over there. I don't know if you remember, because my sister was also a single mother. So we would have y'all play together, and she just loved me. And her whole entire world from that point on changed. And then, of course, I moved away in 2008, and it changed the dynamic of our relationship. Anytime I would go back to Asheville, because that's where my parents and family live, I would go over to her house and I would see them. And no matter what, she would always talk about you guys. And you just meant the world to her. And then, of course, COVID hit. And that is my biggest and saddening is that we did not see each other from 2020 on, like we had about from 2020 on, so we saw each other maybe 5 times. But our last conversation was about a month before she passed. And we talked for over an hour. And probably half of the conversation was about you two. And like she said, she was so proud of you. And she loved you so much. And I want you to know if you ever meet anyone. So for everyone, she is such a special person. She is wonderful. Like I said, these quilts are just such a small but large part of everything. And I'm so glad that Christine is here. They are going to move. Come on up.
If everyone could just start with their name and how they know Christine, because I know we have just a wide variety of people here.
I'm Meredith, and I'm gonna share a few ways that I knew Christine. The thing about walking down memory lane in times like this is that it can be profoundly painful. But when you do it with friends, you can remember certain things you had forgotten or tucked away that are just funny and magical and bring you joy. So kids, I'm gonna put y'all in the Wayback Machine right now, okay? We're gonna go to the fall of 1989, when Christine and I met on the 10th floor of Hinton James Dorm. She had great hair. Great hair. So did I. She was a sophomore, she didn't have everything figured out, and so I was told we were gonna be friends. She typed all of my papers because I took entirely too long hunting and pecking. I didn't learn how to do that, and she would push me off the chair and say, "Yeah, I got this, we have things to do." One time, she learned that I didn't know how to drive a stick shift, and she said, "That is ridiculous. Get in the car." And it was probably 11, 12 o'clock, and we drove around behind the dorm until I could start and stop that stick shift in that little red car on a hill.
It was at night, it was good to go.
It was. Oh. She and her roommate Amy hosted a viewing party for the first ever episode of The Simpsons. And we packed in that room and watched on the teeny tiny TV. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all know she was badass, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna help with some more details on that from a few years down the road. While she was in the dorm room, she had a snake named Sydney. But later, she added a second ball python named Daphne. She also had a cat named Bailey. Bailey was named for Axl Rose. I'm gonna let you Google that. You'll have some fun with it. It took a little while, but she went on into a deep dive and figured out that that needed to be Bailey because Guns N' Roses represent. When I graduated, and I didn't know what my next step was gonna be, Tracy and Christine let me move into their apartment practically rent-free until I could figure things out. So kindness takes trust and bravery. And your mother had that in spades. So much kindness. When Tracy followed her next path, Christine and I moved in together. We were roommates for a while. She is the first person that I ever knew to buy espresso through the mail. Right? It was fancy that. You couldn't get it in the store. She even wanted to buy an espresso machine. And I thought she was nuts. So people lost your mind. Now, if I could turn back time, we could have made a different kind of business and opportunity moving forward. We had some great parties. We had some great adventures. We had a lot of laughs. We had some disputes about the phone bill because she got into the AOL chat rooms for a while. That had nothing to do with yeah. When we were paying for data over the phone lines. Different story. We went to Mexico with Audrey and England's grandparents and just had a blast. So much fun. She fell in love. She moved away. She had children. Fell in love again. I visited her when I was in town on business once and I was pregnant. And she put me in her car and took me to the Babies R Us store. And we did the registry. She told me what I would need and what I wouldn't need. Because she and have it all figured out. And for that child that I had, she made a quilt and brought it to my little baby Juju. And it was, we still have it. It was a kindness and it was made with love, and we knew that. All right. So back to the heartbreaking part, right? When Tracy called me on January 2nd, I was gutted. I just. And then, although I knew it was coming, when I got your email, gutted again. But I opened it, I read it. I selected 2 on the drop down menu. And I pressed accept. Confetti. Y'all, Evite feels very happy when you respond. Actually, confetti. But I heard your mother's laughter in that moment, and it has stayed with me and brought me joy. And so I know I'll continue to hear her laughter because she had one hell of a good sense of humor. So thank you, Miss my friend. And I will say we are here for you just like everyone else in this room. All right, thank you. I'm Vanessa, cousin. Me and my brother came into the family a little later. I was probably about 8 and he was 5. And Aunt Christine just made it both of us feel really welcome. I think she was just like the easiest person that was in love with and kind of high five here family. And I saw her last in Asheville, probably like 2020, 2021. And I had like a nice weekend. I got to stay there with anything and Airbnb program. Had a lot of fun with her, so. And then I also like to craft. Off back and forth, off back and forth. Yeah.
So I'm Ben. I was roommates with Christine and Ralph back in the mid-90s timeframe, worked with her for many years at Daryl's as well. Unfortunately, Ralph couldn't make it here. He's dealing with some serious stuff with his mom's health right now, so he really wanted to be here. But Daryl's was a place we worked, and she worked there for a long time. I worked there for I think 4 years. Met my wife through that. And it was a workplace, but it was more than that. It was a family. Like Olivia, some of our closest friends, spouses, all came out of that place. Job, I can thank David for giving me the first job in IT, and where I'm at my career is because he gave me that opportunity. And Christine linked all that together, right? We all worked together in that bar. And David saw something, all 3 of us, to give us a chance at his company. And ultimately, we all went there and worked, and that's kind of we were all, began the 3 musketeers, started off in IT and had a fantastic time. But we were roommates too, and she was, I didn't have any siblings. She was like a bigger sister to me in a very tough time. If you think about it, 21-year-old younger brother is not a pleasant person. So a lot of challenges, a lot of growing up I had to do during that time, and she was like a big sister to me. And had a lot of good advice for me, advised me to marry my wife. And I think she's one of the first people I told that when I got the engagement ring. But we had a lot of fun too. And it was good times during that moment. Bailey, I never had a cat, never with a cat for me. We now have 3. I love them, never loved cats. Still don't have any snakes, never will have any snakes. That being said, let's just talk about my wife was talking earlier. She walked into the bathroom one time, we were living together, so we were living with Christine, and she walked into the bathroom and the lights were off and the snake was halfway up the wall, about 2 feet from her face. So anyway, she was good people, and we did first time we ever did AOL, Meredith, we talked about that. We got AOL, I remember loading that disk in her computer, and that was the first time we ever got on the internet, was in that apartment when we lived together. We shop for furniture together. We had the blue and white striped sofas and those really cool spider lamps that would go over the top, back in the mid-90s that were a thing. But I remember going furniture shopping with her to set that place up. But all that being said, I didn't get a chance to connect with her for a very long time, and got a chance to see her last year. So we had the Daryl's reunion after about 25 years. We had a number of people get together last year and had an opportunity to get seeing. And we decided we were going to make that an annual event. And the only thing she did that entire time was talk about you guys. I'm proud you were, and I get to learn a lot about you through that conversation. It meant a lot. We're going to have those every year. We'll try to plan over the next couple months, and you will more than welcome to join, come hear more stories and learn more as it is. But I appreciate it, and she meant so much to us and everybody in that entire family, and obviously she meant everything to everybody in this room. So thank you.
Already tearing up. I'm Tracy's father, Bill Moneypenny. Christine was another daughter of mine. My beautiful ex-wife over there, we're still friends, Karen. Some of the things, every time you come to something like this, people bring up things that you've long forgotten. And we had so many good times at Daryl's. I drank more liquor there than I ever. And Karen and I would always try to, we would try to make up for the liquor that we didn't pay for with the tip. But we didn't have a lot of money back then, and I think sometimes we were successful, but mostly not. And Tracy, Meredith, Lauren, back there in the corner, and Christine, they were like the four musketeers, and they were always together. And I'm gonna miss her. I mean, it's like if I lost her, or my other daughter, Brandy, is back there too. What can I say? We're gonna all miss her, and she was a beautiful person. I didn't even know about the quilts. I mean, it's amazing. Karen's mother was a quilter and made beautiful quilts, and I can see by looking at these, Christine is every bit as talented as Ruth, my mother-in-law. But in any case, I feel so bad for the two of you. We're gonna miss her. And she was a beautiful soul. We'll see her again. She's here with us now. Christine, we love you.
For those of you who don't know me, which is probably most of you, I'm Sarah. I'm Catherine's best friend. I had the pleasure of getting to know Christine when I first met Catherine in our freshman year at UCC. Very long time ago now. And I just remember the first time I ever met Christine. I was so nervous going to meet her because Catherine was just this such a beautiful, formidable, kind soul. And I thought, a woman who raised that kind of person must be that herself, you know? And I have always been a very spiritual person as well, but having less experience in life, I never really knew how to navigate it or what that really meant to me. And it was through every conversation I had with Christine that I learned how she experienced her spirituality and how she expressed it in her feelings and the way that she saw the world around her. And I think that really helped me learn how to trust my gut and the way that I feel, so much so that on January 2nd, I was having a bad day. I had woken up that morning and I just felt off. You know, you get up and you go through the motions and something just doesn't feel quite right. Something's just not sitting quite right. So I'll never forget, I was actually on the phone with my mom, kind of telling her I just didn't feel okay that day. And Catherine started calling. And it was before 5 o'clock, and I was like, girl, you know, we're both working, so something's gotta be going on. And when I answered that phone, I knew why I was having a bad day. I knew that I could feel it. I could feel the pain that my best friend was going through, and that her family was going through. Not just from the suddenness and the unexpectedness of what happened, but also just from the searing loss of such a beautiful and kind soul. I remember she told me I never had to have anything figured out. She said, you've got all these big plans, but you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to trust yourself, because when you know, you know. And over the last few years, I've really learned how to know, I've really learned how to trust. And I really owe a lot of that to her. But I will say that, you know, when people pass, it's hard when they're no longer with us, but they never do leave us. And I know that everything Christine ever did was for Johnny. Yeah. And after all the people here who will take a part of her with them, with the quotes, with all the stories and the beautiful words, and just all the memories that we have, I know that she'll continue on through all of us and all of our acts, and deeds and kindnesses, as we go forward. And that her beautiful soul will always be with us through Catherine and John. They were just such wonderful people, and I'm so grateful that she brought them into my life. So I love her, and I love you guys too. I want to be here for y'all.
I wasn't sure I was gonna speak. I think this is really hard. But I'm Mike, I'm her brother, and I know a lot of you in here go, what? She had a brother? It's true, and so many of you know her so much better than I ever did. To just give an example of like our childhood, I always wanted my own, space, and she was 4 years younger with me, and I would be riding bikes with my buddies, and we'd go down this trail, there's no housing development or anything, there was jumps and ramps, and she was like, oh my God, she's, paddling around behind us. And after about 10 minutes, they're like, anybody see my sister Christine? So we, started riding backwards down the trail. Yeah, there she was, on the ground, knee sliced wide open and needed stitches, the whole thing. So I didn't spend a lot of time with my sister like Pauline did, and I've actually got to know her a little better through y'all. But after her husband died, we did become a lot closer. And we really did enjoy each other's time. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and I want to tell especially Catherine and John that, you may have lost your parents, but you haven't lost your parents. We're going to be right there for you guys every step of the way in a community. Thanks.
I'm just gonna sit here. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Cook. I'm Jonathan and Catherine's cousin. And Christine was a beautiful soul. She was awesome. I loved going over to their house and hanging out with my cousins. I loved getting those smoked good hot wings or whatever she made. It was so good, even though it gave me heartburn. But I loved hot wings and I couldn't say no. I was 1 year when my birthday came up, I was looking for something new, something adventurous. And like we all
know what comedy is, I went to see Jeff Dunham one year and I called him Christina because I didn't know like where to go. And I said, Aunt Christine, I was like, I'm gonna come up. I really need guidance because me and my cousin Matt were coming up and to go to Jeff Dunham. And then I was like, she's like, I'll show you around. I'm like, oh, well, also you're going too. Because I knew that she probably would like some fun. So that's what we did. We had fun and I really do miss her a lot. And I did pray that night and I said, God, I was like, can you just like take Aunt Christine and just warm her family up, give her some love and respect because God really needs to intervene because everybody needs that calmness. Everybody needs that storm to stop once in a while and have peace. And I know that Aunt Christine is with her husband, my uncle. And my uncle is awesome. These kids are awesome. They don't deserve this. But you know, they have family. We're all big unit and a big, huge village. And that's what we're here for. We love you guys. We don't want this to happen, but it did in their way. But you have us, and that's your family. And I love you guys so much.
Hi, my name is Emma Grace. I'm John's girlfriend. I had the honor of knowing Christine for 2 years, which I feel like is a lot less than most of us, but I feel like I've known her a lot longer. The day I met her, she just welcomed me with open arms. It was awesome. She was so cool. And I was like, where John gets it from? John is so cool. It is so cool. I was like, this is awesome. I felt like part of the family from the first day I had ever met her, and she was so unapologetically genuine and kind and sassy, which I love. There's actually John can get so mad at me because there's this one photo that John takes, and he always gets so mad at me when I pull it up. But she couldn't reach something, and like the spice cabinet. So John gets up there, he gets on the cabinet, he's like knees spread, whatever, he's on there reaching up. And she's like, you know, it'd be really funny. She's like, take a picture. And I'm like, take out my phone. I'm like, of course I have my phone, I'm gonna take a picture. And she's standing there, like looking at the camera, both hands flipping the bird while John was like behind.
Wow.
Like, with the spice, it was phenomenal. John was like, this is a terrible picture. I am not happy about this. I was like, this is the funniest picture I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was just, there were so many other instances like that. And it was so funny. And she was so awesome. And she was always so supportive of all of my endeavors, of obviously John and Catherine's endeavors, but for someone that she had met like 2 years ago, she was so loving. And she was like a second mother to me. And one of the last things that she sent me, I actually have saved, and I was going through a hard time, just with, you know, personal stuff sucks. And she sent me this, and I think it really embodies who she is and how she feels about everyone and how ferociously she loves. And she said, girl, look at you. Everything that's happened in your life, you've handled. She used another word in front of handle. You work hard, you're strong, you're ambitious, you're resilient, you're genuine and loyal. Anyone who doesn't value what you bring to the table doesn't deserve you. You are a queen. And I use the word queen for a lot of people. I call everybody queen. But every time I text her, I always be like, queen, you doing? And she would always respond with the same energy. And so she is just so freaking awesome. And her kids are so awesome. And I am so glad to be a part of this family. Yeah.
Haley would like to say a few words online. So I'm going to maximize her here, I think.
Oh no.
Let me see if I can find the right button. So hold on, Haley. I'm trying to make it real big, and then I got to turn on your audio. Well,
Oh no.
we may just live with you in the little picture, but you get the idea. Hold on. Let me turn up the audio for the. Yeah. No, I gotta move the other one.
Did it work? Oh. Can I speak? Okay. Hi. I'm Haley. I'm the aforementioned daughter of Tracy, who was moved into college, and they moved me out in record time. And I remember while we were doing said moving, I was told about how much stuff I had compared to them in my little dorm room. Everyone's like, wow, that's a lot. I'm like, thanks. But anyway, it was really fun because by the time my mom got there, we were like, didn't need you anyway. But anyway, what to say? I remember when I lived at Asheville I went to UNCA for 2 years, and they lived right by there. I'd go every day, not every day, but I would see her most weekends. And went over to her house one day, and I was just like, I was a bit cold because I'd forgotten a sweatshirt. And this is how I ended up with her sweatshirt. And Christine gave it to me. She's like, yeah, my kids don't like this. So do you want it? So I was like, yeah, sure. So I wear it all the time. And next time I wore it in front of Catherine, she goes, I really like that sweatshirt. Where'd you get it? And I was like, well, I got it from Christine. And I told Christine that. She was like, of course, just you needed to wear it for her to like it. What else? Everyone talks about her quilts. And I remember, I think I nagged her for 4 years minimum to get a quilt. Because my mom got a quilt, ergo my dad also had a quilt. My sister had a quilt. My mom got another quilt, and I have had yet to get a quilt. So she's like, please, like, can I have a quilt? And I never got the quilt. And then I graduated high school, and I received my quilt. And I love that thing more than anything in the world. It is a big reminder for me. I had to move. Well, I didn't have to. I got to move to the UK for university. And when I was packing my carry-on suitcase, I was like, this needs to be this. This is exactly what I need. I made sure Christine's quilt was in my carry-on so it couldn't get lost. It was with me all the way. For the longest time, it was my only blanket here, to the point where I told my friends, and they made me get my friends here, they made me get a duvet cover and everything. She's like, you can't just have a quilt. I was like, all I need is the quilt. Trust me. All I need is this quilt. And I'll be fine. And I don't know. I remember the day that she did pass, because I got home. I was home for Christmas, and I was leaving literally in 2 days to go back. I left the next day. There wasn't much I could do, but I do remember I came home from, I was shopping. I came home from shopping. My mom's like, everyone's on the couch. And I'm like, you guys weren't supposed to be here. What happened? And my mom told me, and I just remember maybe I just hugged her, because growing up, it took me an embarrassing long amount of time to realize that we actually weren't cousins. We were just a college family come to life. And it was one of those things that I was, for the longest time, I was trying to explain it to people when I was a child. I was like, yeah, that's my cousin. Like, but you guys don't look alike. It's like, well, no, it's my mom's best friend from college, but like, we're family. Like, we see each other way too much for it not to be family. So we're just practically family. So it was devastating to hear about that and made it really hard to travel back here to the little gray UK. But the one thing I do remember is the day that I got back, the next morning I woke up to snow. And it was just, even though she liked snow, but she was iffy. But I just always loved snow. And I remember one time at their old house, it was like snowing while I was there. And we were sat on the porch talking. And it just was so beautiful and peaceful. But I think that's all I have to say about that. I wish I was there to give you a big hug, guys, but love you.
Thank you, Haley. Is there anybody else online before we transition into the part of the program that would like to unmute and their comments? Yeah, we see the part of. What's up? All right, just go ahead and unmute and
Can you hear me?
I'll turn you back up and turn the camera on.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yep. Oh, yep. Here we go. Perfect. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. I was expecting to watch and not comment. I don't use Zoom very often, but Aunt Audrey, Christine's mom, grew up in Michigan, so a lot of family here in Michigan. And I am Christine's first cousin. My name is Sharon. My last name is Kramer. And Aunt Audrey would come to Michigan to visit a lot in our childhood years. And I grew up on a dairy farm, and it's rather boring on farms, not a lot happening. Um, Very family oriented, though. And so when family reaches out to say they're coming for a Michigan visit, it was pretty darn exciting. And I have a lot of memories of Christine visiting all of us, my Aunt Margaret and all her children, um, my siblings. And typical visits were just running out to the barn and playing with the cats and jumping in the chop pile, family dinners. It was summer, so it was warm. And we would just run around on our bikes and play tag and watch our aunties have coffee and hope that they were having more cups of coffee so we could visit longer. And I certainly wish that I had seen Christine in my adult life. But as life goes, I guess it just unfortunately gets busy with our own careers and families. And we texted here and there, but never got to see each other physically. So I feel bad I've missed the opportunity, but I'm certainly grateful and treasure those childhood memories that I have. And in hearing everyone speak today, it actually sparked my memory a little bit. I can feel her personality as an adult, and it certainly lines up with her personality as a child. So I'm grateful for everyone's comments and stories today. Thank you for having me. And God bless Christine and her family.
All right. One more? Okay, one more. One.
most of them, especially Juan and the rest of them, and knew Christine as mother. Mom, she was mom at the farm. But one of the best things that both David and Christine was Catherine and John. You two, I watched you grow up through all the years, and both of them. Very proud of you, as we are. We are very proud of you. And we wish you the best. We understand. We feel your loss. She will go. And both David as a brother and Christine as a sister. And we had several conversations along the line, and you were like our niece and nephew. We watched you grow and become the adults that you are, and we're so proud of you. And we will miss Christine just as we miss your father, David, and we know that they're together, and we want to see them sometime in the future. In the meantime, embrace life, embrace future, today, tomorrow, and if you, and like everybody else says, here's family. Family is here. If you need anybody, need us, you know where to call. Love you guys.
All right, one last, so that we can get to all the rest of the fun.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. It's just that there's a story that that Christine used to love to tell, that the kids have heard plenty of times. That it's just kind of interesting. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. My name is Juan. We work together, and at some point, one of the other coworkers that we work with talked it out. We're just like, hey, let's start hanging out with Christine. So we got to know her better, and she's just an amazing person. That's how, like we got introduced and everything. But it's really interesting seeing and hearing all the bits kind of coming in from other people, because I've heard a bunch of these stories from her perspective, and hearing them being recounted with first person accounts is just fantastic. That I'm like, oh, she told me about the snake. She told me about how people weren't receptive to having snakes in their house. And but anyways, everybody knew her humor. And there was one time when she randomly texted me. She's like, hey, you want to go drinking after work? And I said, yeah, I live right down the road from where she lived, like less than a mile. And I showed up at the house, picked her up, and she's like, yeah, I've already been drinking. She was like, yeah, you're driving out. I've already been drinking. So I said, okay, yeah, that's fine. So we get to the place, we park the car, helping her get out of the car, and we're walking down the sidewalk. And she asks me something inconsequential that she knew the answer to. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. And I stop and I look at her, and I'm holding her on the arm, and I ask her, what are you, stupid? And she always responded yes, because whenever she asked me the same question, I would also answer yes, no matter what it was. So we're just walking down the street, and I asked her, I was like, what are you, stupid? And she just stops, kind of wavering, and she looks at me and she's like, yes. And normally that would have been enough to get us to laugh about that, because we always got a kick out of it. But what she didn't realize is that whenever I asked, and I also didn't realize either because I was talking to her, but when I said, what are you, stupid? And she stopped, and then I turned around and looked at her because she was standing there. I noticed that there was a group of older women that had just walked by. And they all stopped and just glared hate at me for asking this woman that I'm trying to keep stable, if she's stupid, And then she answered yes, and they just didn't know what to do. So I could see them all just standing there, just glaring at me, they're like, just so mad. And I didn't notice that until I turned around to look at Christine because she had stopped. And I told Christine, I'm like, yeah, let's keep moving. Let's get moving. And then once she got inside, she was like, what were those women? I was like, oh yeah, you didn't realize what happened. So then I pulled her in, and that was like one of her favorite stories that she was like bringing up to our friends, and the kids had heard the story I don't know how many times. But she was just a really, really awesome individual. Like we would all get together, her, Sarah, and I, not this Sarah, the other Sarah that we worked with, would get together on Thursdays, and she would make the most amazing food. Like I've asked John for her recipe of Swiss steak, because the one time that she made it, I've never had anything as good, like that good ever. Like she loved to cook, she loved to do arts and crafts. I have some of her pieces at home, and this hat came from her collection. So I know some people have asked about it, and it came from her collection. So I'm glad to have it, and I'm glad to have met such amazing people. So yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for all the kind words. John is going to read a poem for us that meant a lot to Christine.
So my mother found this poem a couple of months back and shared it with all of us. And recently it's been a great solace in some trying times. So I hope you all enjoy it as well. There are 2 days in every week which we should not avoid. 2 days which should be kept from fear and apprehension. One of these days is yesterday, with all its mistakes and cares, its faults and blunders, its aches and pains. Yesterday is past forever, beyond our control. All the money in the world cannot bring back what we did yesterday. We cannot undo a single act we fulfilled. We cannot erase a single thing we said. Yesterday is gone forever. The other day we should not worry about us tomorrow, with all of its possible adversaries, its burdens, its large promise of poor performance. Tomorrow is also beyond our immediate control. Tomorrow's sun will rise, either behind a mask of cloud and splendid, but it will rise. Until it does, we have no say, for it is yet humble. This only leaves one day, today. Any person can fight the battle just one day. It's when you and I have the burdens of those awful eternities, yesterday and tomorrow, that we break down. It's not the experience today that drives people mad. It's the remorse and bitterness of something which might happen tomorrow, and the dread of what tomorrow might be. Let's therefore live but one day at a time. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're gonna stop the webcast now, the Zoom, and for everybody here, please help yourself to all the food, all the drinks, and we're gonna be passing around some tickets. So if you'd like a chance to take one of these beautiful quilts home with you, draw a ticket. Thank you so much.
It's very nice. One of the quilts, I'll ship it to them if you want to offer that.
Okay.
So sweet. Yes, I wanted
Somebody else can have one. I'm good. No, that's, yeah.